Welcome back to a brand new installment of High Five. So glad to be back doing this. As always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. Today on High Five, we're going to be talking about 5 questions that I want answered in Episode 9 of Star Wars. Now, I have always been a big fan of the Star Wars movies. I remember watching A New Hope when I was very, very young. Then you had Empire Strikes Back, which is probably my favorite of the original trilogy. Then you had Return of the Jedi, which was good, and then you had a long break from the end of Return of the Jedi until we finally got Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and it was at best. But of the prequel trilogy, I have to say that Revenge of the Sith is probably my favorite of the prequel trilogies. So then we got word that Lucasfilms was bought out by Disney, and Disney was going to do 3 more Star Wars sequels. Those being The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Episode 9, which is yet to be untitled. Now, when I heard that there was going to be 3 more Star Wars movies, I was like, oh, that's great! You know, I love the Star Wars movies, so I'm probably going to like this. And then they announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be the director for The Force Awakens, which automatically brought my expectations down to 0 because, real talk time, I don't like J.J. Abrams. I think he's a terrible director, and I really just do not like his directing style at all. I watched that abomination of a Star Trek movie and thought it was completely terrible. I have not seen any of the sequels. I will not see any of the sequels because he did such a horrible job with it, coming as a longtime Star Trek fan. So when I heard that he was going to be directing Force Awakens, I was not impressed, to say the least. So I didn't watch Force Awakens until just recently after watching The Last Jedi. But for watching The Last Jedi, I kind of, I wasn't lost at all with it. I knew who the characters were because, I heard everything about what happened, just about everything what happened in The Force Awakens. So I knew the characters. I knew Rey, I knew Kylo Ren. I didn't really know Poe Dameron, but I knew Finn. I knew he was a stormtrooper for the First Order and had a sudden attack of conscience and joined the Resistance. So I thought The Last Jedi was a fantastic movie. I enjoyed it so much. And I think the reason why I enjoyed it so much is because I wasn't one of those big-time Star Wars fanboys who went and saw The Force Awakens and had all these little, fan fiction theories about what was going to happen in the next movie after Rey met Luke. And all their dreams were shattered because of everything that happened. I think it's a bunch of bullcrap that people are like, oh, I have a petition to make The Last Jedi non-canon. No. Star Wars The Last Jedi is canon to the series. So, okay, I'm getting on a big rant here about this, but I did finally watch The Force Awakens, and I thought it was good. I didn't like it as much as I liked The Last Jedi. But there were 2 factors forcing me to watch this movie. First and foremost, it was leaving Netflix, so I had to watch it right away. And I just, put myself in a mindset where I just tried to forget that J.J. Abrams directed this. And I think given the fact that he was working with an established universe and not doing something new with an already established universe, that kind of lessened the blow for me for this because everybody was still likable. I really liked Rey. I thought Finn had a great redemption to him. We had returning favorites in Han Solo, Chewie, Princess Leia. I guess she's General Leia now in The Force Awakens. And I think I think everything just kind of worked out well in that movie. Well enough that I was able to enjoy it and just forget that J.J. Abrams directed it. So that brings us to Episode 9, after all the events of The Last Jedi. So here are 5 questions that I want answered in Episode 9, whatever it may be called. The first question that I want answered is, what the hell is Snoke's backstory? So the first time I saw Snoke was in The Last Jedi, and I kind of leaned over to my buddy Ryder Pride 639 and said to him, "You know, he looks like Smeagol and Freddy Krueger had a love child." But he kind of looked more like a disfigured John Kramer. That's my horror brain working for me. Funny to find out that Andy Serkis was the voice of General of Snoke. General Snoke? No. But was it me, or did from the from the Force Awakens to Last Jedi, did Snoke go from Palpatine to Hugh Hefner, or is that just me? That's the vibe I got watching Force Awakens and then watching Last Jedi. This is two completely different people. Snoke was a lot more intimidating because he was all smoking holograms in the Force Awakens. And then you see him in the Last Jedi, and he's like, "Yeah." I was expecting him to pull out a pipe and start smoking it. So that really makes me wonder about Snoke's backstory, because he got taken out like a punk in in the Last Jedi. Oh yeah, sorry. Spoiler warnings from here on out. If you have not watched The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens, then you're probably not watching this video because you're not as big of a Star Wars fan as I am. So, but yeah, spoiler warnings from here on out. But yeah, Snoke got taken out like a punk in The Last Jedi. Like, that's my feelings about this. But we never, from The Force Awakens to Last Jedi, we never find out anything about Snoke's backstory, like who he really is. There's a theory going around that he's Darth Plagueis, who Palpatine talked to Anakin about in, what was that, Attack of the Clones, or was that in Revenge of the Sith? I think it was Revenge of the Sith. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and watch all the Star Wars movies again. Hey, that sounds like fun. But it was one of those two where he was talking about Darth Plagueis, who found a way to cheat death. So that makes a lot of sense if you think about it for a while. Maybe Snoke is, I don't want to say the reincarnation of Darth Plagueis, but maybe he is actually Darth Plagueis, and maybe he'll pop up again in Episode 9. So I'd really like to see more of Snoke and just get to know who he was. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that he's going to be in that. The second question that I want asked in Star Wars Episode 9 is, what is Rey's real parentage? In The Last Jedi, we saw a lot of scenes between Rey and Kylo Ren where they were, having like Force long distance calls is the best way I can describe it. They were talking to each other where, Kylo would be on the Star Destroyer and Rey would be somewhere else, and there was that weird scene where he was shirtless for no reason. There was no reason for that. Like, come on. I liked The Last Jedi, but there was no reason for Kylo Ren to be shirtless. That was female fangirl service right there. But you had the conversation between Kylo Ren and Rey about Kylo Ren telling Rey her parents were nobodies. But I don't think that's exactly true. I think her parents were somebody. And I think her parents might have had the last name Skywalker. Or, I don't know who her mother would be. But I kind of got a feeling that, the spirit of Luke is going to come around and say, "Rey, I'm your father." I got that feeling, It can't be a coincidence. You take a look at, the first movie, you have someone named Skywalker who finds a lightsaber. In the second, in the prequel trilogy, you have someone named Skywalker with a lightsaber. It only makes sense that Rey is a Skywalker and that her and Kylo Ren are related. They're like cousins. Because Kylo Ren, I don't know why I have to say this if you haven't watched, because you probably have watched if you're watching this. But, Kylo Ren being the son of Han and Leia. So, I still think, watching The Last Jedi, I still feel that Rey and Kylo Ren are related. They are cousins. At first I thought maybe they were brother and sister, but, which would be plausible too, but I think more along the lines that they are cousins and Rey is Luke's daughter. So, I really hope we get more answers about her parents and maybe put that to rest. Like I know I said earlier about all the stupid fanboy fan fiction theories that were going around. So if we find out that it's going to be something different, where one of her parents, isn't Luke, I'm not going to be upset about it. Unlike all those other little fanboys who got their panties in a bunch about the events of the Last Jedi. I, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. So yeah, that's another question I want answered. A third question that I want answered is, what are they gonna do with Leia? So the Last Jedi was kind of a bittersweet movie for me. Watching it, I thought it was a fantastic movie. I loved every minute of it, and then came the end when the credits were rolling, and then you just saw dedicated memory to our princess, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away in 2016. Uh, the bright side of that is she had finished all her scenes for The Last Jedi before she passed away. So they didn't have to do like the CG thing like they did in Rogue One with Tarkin, where they just had someone else and they just digitally imposed Peter Cushing's face on his. But that makes me wonder what they're going to do in episode 9. Are they just going to write Leia off? Are they just going to have her die off screen? Or are they going to do this CGI technology, put her in, and then kill her off? Because there's not much you can do. She had a pretty distinctive sounding voice near the end of her life, so who could match that? It's just gonna be kind of sad to see this movie without Carrie Fisher in it, because she was such an integral part of the Star Wars mythos. So I hope they do her justice in this in episode 9, and we'll have to wait and see. I'm thinking that they're just gonna write her off and have her death off screen. The first few moments of episode 9 are going to be like Rey and Poe and C-3PO all standing around graveside for General Leia Organa. And if that happens, I'm going to be bawling my eyes out. But I do hope they do her justice in episode 9 with how they write her off. Speaking of writing off, another question I want asked is, in episode 9, is Luke really gone? At the end of The Last Jedi, we saw this epic confrontation between Luke and Kylo Ren, where Luke just kind of used his force powers to project an image of himself to do battle with Kylo Ren. They just had a fantastic battle. I thought that was one of the best ones since like Luke and Vader in Empire Strikes Back. But then we find out that, Luke's sitting there on the planet of Jedi, levitating, projecting his force, and then he just disappears. Like, he just straight up disappears. So, I thought maybe that might have been the end of Luke, but then you gotta think back to, like, Empire Strikes Back, or even A New Hope. Go as far back as the very first movie, when Darth Vader struck down Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then in Empire Strikes Back, here comes Obi-Wan again talking with Yoda. And then, at the end of Return of the Jedi, you had Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin Skywalker. I will never accept that BS Hayden Christensen ending. It will always be the old dude. But they're standing around, watching the celebration of the fall of the Empire, and you see Luke looking at him, smiling. So that makes me think Luke will be coming back. He won't be coming back in a physical form, but he'll be coming back in his Force Ghost thing, whatever. But I do think Luke will be coming back in episode 9 to kind of guide Rey, as much as Obi-Wan guided Luke in Empire Strikes Back. And it was great seeing Yoda again in Force Awakens. That got a big smile on me because I love Yoda. He was one of my favorite characters. Judge me by my size, will you? I do a good Yoda. So yes, hopefully that's another question we get answered. Is Luke going to be returning? I hope so. I think he will be. We'll just have to wait and see. And the final question I want answered in Star Wars Episode 9, how or will Kylo Ren meet his fate? Boy, does Kylo Ren have a lot of issues, but, he loves his grandpa, so... I really think Kylo Ren is one of the most interesting characters that we've experienced in the Star Wars universe. He seems so conflicted about everything, with the dark side and the light side of the Force. So, it makes him a pretty unique character, but he's done some atrocious things. Like, he killed his own father in The Force Awakens. He came close to killing his own mother in The Last Jedi. So, it makes me wonder how he's going to meet his end, or if he's going to meet his end come the Episode 9. Because from what I understand, there's going to be 3 more prequels after, or 3 more sequels after that. I think that's going a little overboard. I think 9 will be a nice number to end it off at, and then just, done. We're done with Star Wars forever. Like, I know there's this Han Solo movie coming out very, very soon, which I'm excited to see. A little more backstory of our favorite rogue. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Kylo Ren, or if Kylo Ren meets his fate, because I think it's going to come down to another huge duel between him and Rey. This time Rey is like full-on Jedi mode in this. And it's going to be a hell of a battle. And I think Episode 9 is going to be a hell of a movie. I know J.J. Abrams is going to be directing this one again, and I hate that. But I can't wait to see what happens in the end. It's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to suspend knowing that he directed the movie, because I do not like him. I don't think he's a good director at all. But as long as I can suspend that and just remember, he's working with an established universe. He's not taking an old universe, taking an old property, and trying to make it something new and turn everybody into complete douchebags like he did in Star Trek. He's working with an established universe. Yeah, there's new characters in there, like Rey, like Poe, like BB-8. I absolutely love BB-8. Yeah, takes me back to the first time seeing R2-D2. But, like I said, Poe, Rey, Finn, you have all these new characters. Kylo Ren, who I think is a great bad guy, because he's so conflicted. He's just a fantastic bad guy. Now he's got a badass scar going down his face. So he looks even more evil than ever. I think Adam Driver has done a great performance as Kylo Ren. You saw that in Force Awakens, and you saw that more in The Last Jedi, like when him and Snoke are having that conversation near the beginning of the movie, and Snoke is like, and take that ridiculous helmet off, and he just, So yeah, I think Adam Driver is doing a great job, and I can't wait to see what he does in Episode 9. It's going to be something else. I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, those are 5 questions that I want answered in Star Wars Episode 9. I don't want to say I'm waiting with bated breath, because like I said, I do love the Star Wars movies. I'm not a huge massive Star Wars nut like some of the other fans out there who have to have every action figure, have to have every piece of merchandise, gotta watch every movie. I haven't even watched the Clone Wars movie. I haven't watched the Clone Wars series. I haven't watched Rebels. I haven't watched anything that would be considered in canon other than like Rogue One, which was an okay movie. But I do love the Star Wars movies. They'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I can't wait for Episode 9. It's going to be fun, which is what the Star Wars movie should be, just pure fun. All right, well, those are 5 questions that I want asked in Star Wars Episode 9. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. What do you want to see in Star Wars Episode 9? Let me know in the comment section down below. And what do you think the name of the movie will be as well? Looking back on the entire series, you had Force Awakens, or let's go back further than that. You had The Phantom Menace, you had Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi. So what do you think Episode 9 will be titled as well? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, don't forget to share it with all your other Star Wars friends on any social media outlet of your choice. Down in the description below, you're going to see a link to my Redbubble store where you can pick up this and many more great pieces of merchandise, including t-shirts, leggings, coffee mugs, travel mugs, stickers, of course, phone cases for iPhone and Samsung Galaxy. Just added to the store iPhone 10 cases, and a whole bunch of other great merchandise. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to tap that subscribe button. And if you're already subscribed, don't forget to tap that bell, and you'll be notified whenever I upload anything new or whenever I go live or whatever. I will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of High Five. Don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I'll let you know on the Facebook page. Don't forget to like the Facebook page as well. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all those great social media outlets. And I will see you again for another episode of the High Five. Take care.